Hello, welcome to Constituent Marking with Fred Long on Proof Text. I am Fred Long, and we're working on First Thessalonians chapter 1. I almost said 1 Corinthians. I've been in those verses for quite a while, but I'm finishing up chapter 14 there, but I'm also recording these videos here. So this is a new series in 1 Thessalonians, and boy, I'm planning, I think, on going all the way through 2 Thessalonians. It's going to be quite a journey. So we're just getting started here. So here we are in verse 5. This is a long verse. There's a lot going on here, but as we'll see, there's a lot of prepositions, so that'll make it kind of easy. And I'll get those marked up in just a moment. What is happening is that we do have an initial conjunction, OT, and this OT is marking substantiation of the previous verse. Probably substantiation. I say substantiation, but it could be possibly content. We just have, there's a little bit of, dispute. Is it substantiation, support, or content? And we'd have to go back and look at the previous verse. There, it was a pretty simple verse. There, Paul talked about knowing. I'm going to erase all this. Knowing your election. Knowing your election, knowing beloved, having been beloved by God, your election. That, is it that or because? Well, that's the issue, that. And probably, I think translations go with because, but substantiation. But just, there's a possibility that we could understand that differently. So I'm going to start my marking. I put a box around OT. And then, let me read the Greek text. To evangelion emon uk genethe is umas en logo monon ala ke en dunami ke en pneumati hagio ke pleurophoria pole kathos idete themen en humin di umas. Now that looks like, wow, that's a big text. That's really hard to work with. But let me do something real quickly here. I'm going to mark the prepositions. So you have is umas. I've got en logo. I've got en dunami. I've got en pneumati. And here, I think the N probably governs the pleurophoria pole. And then I've got en humin di umas, okay? So there's a lot of prepositional phrases there, and I'll put them all in yellow just so you can see. So this is where marking up the text can help simplify it, because right away you're looking at just a big jumble of words and you're not understanding what's there. But a lot of this is indeed prepositional phrases. Okay, so we'll go back here and we'll start marking up to evangelion emon, our gospel. So our gospel, and I can start by single underline. This form, evangelion, could be accusative or nominative. If it's not accusative, I can add a second line to it, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually the subject. So you have an uk, which I put a dotted bubble around. So our gospel did not come or become. So indeed, this is from yenome. It's a third singular, aorist, middle formed part indicative. So it means to become, but it also it can mean like come or happen or occur. So our gospel did not occur to you or come to you in word only. Now this word only is an adverb that is also modifying the verb. It didn't come only to you in word, but also, and here I think the Allah is a connector. I think the first ke is It could be here ascensive, what's called ascensive, thematic addition. Also, in power and in the Holy Spirit and all or much conviction. So this is how I would start to mark that up. So you have a correction taking place. You got the ook. It did not come in word only, but also in power and in the Holy Spirit and much conviction. Now this Allah part of the verse right here, it's verbless, but it reassumes this verb. It occurs. It came. It came. It did not come in word only, but it also came. And then there are two prepositional phrases. It came in power, and it came with the Holy Spirit and much conviction. All right, so that's the first part of verse 5. Then you come across a kathos. Now, kathos is a conjunction. I'm going to put a green box. I'm going to green box it. And it starts a subordinate clause, just as also you know. And then you have a you. This is a relative pronoun that indicates quality. So this is a relative pronoun type that is marked for quality. What sort of people we became among you and through you, just as you also know. All right, so this is what's happening here is a big set of connectors. And I'm going to close off this one. I'm going to call this one 1. And then you have the kathos, just as you know. And so that is number 2. And then there's a number 3, which is this relative pronoun clause. So you can begin to number your subordinate clauses. So you could pause and look at how I've numbered it. But the kathos clause contains itself a relative pronoun clause. You know what sort of individuals we became among you because of you. Because of you, on your account, or because of you. Yeah. So this issue of quality is kind of interesting because Paul is going to go off on the kind of people that he was in the gospel, like the character, his ethos. And it actually could be a little nauseating to just, if you really look at it, and it's like, why is he bragging about himself? Why is he talking about his motives and his intentions and blah, blah, blah? Well, in the book of Acts, he was run off pretty quickly from the Thessalonians. He didn't stay that long. And it looked like he might have been just a traveling charlatan, like someone just preaching and then making some contacts, maybe making some money and then leaving. So it didn't look good according to what's described in the book of Acts. It did not look good at all. And so Paul writes this letter, I think, pretty quickly to explain his character and to encourage them, right? To say, look, there's a lot of stuff that happened. Like when we preached the gospel, I mean, the Spirit was present, conviction was there, power was present, and you also saw what kind of people we were, right? So this is not just a one and done kind of thing. Like we had good character, and this is all of his explanation, right, of verse 4, right? So verse 4 is knowing your chosenness, your election. And he says we can know that you were elected to become a part of the gospel salvation because of all these attendant circumstances around the preaching of the gospel. Like it was a divine filled moment. Like we know that you're chosen to be part of it. You're elected to be in it because God, in fact, showed up in a big way. He showed up in a big way. And I think that that's true. We don't need to believe in predestination or anything like that. We can just say that indeed God is at work in the world. And when he's moving and he expects people to respond and people are responding, we say, yeah, this was a divine moment and elected. They're chosen. They're chosen to belong to God's people. Yeah, when they respond. Absolutely. So, okay, so verse 5 then builds on verse 4. And so finally, everything begins to shut down. We get a period there, and we'll get a reset with the next verse. Well, I hope you found that helpful, and look forward to having you watch and listen next time. Take care.